Toronto Raptors beat the Atlanta Hawks in back-to-back games 134 to 117 and then 118 to 100. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Raptors Rundown. I'm your host, Yusuf Abbas, and this is a 2-in-1 episode because I was literally traveling during the second game, so I just thought it would be much easier to do both Atlanta games in one episode. Luckily, the Raptors exit this series 2-0, and they've swept the Atlanta Hawks 4-0 this season. This is the second team we've swept this season, including the Cleveland Cavaliers, and these are two teams that are both in the play-in and have struggled immensely this season. The overall takeaway from this game is that we took care of business. Offensively, we seemed a lot more dominant, especially after that fourth quarter where we actually locked in on defense. It showed the gap in talent between the two teams. The first game was more of a shootout, though. I mean, the first game, literally both teams could not stop scoring until the fourth quarter where we held Atlanta to only 11 points. Dyson Daniels was incredible. Nickeil Alexander-Walker couldn't miss. Jalen Johnson couldn't miss. But then in the fourth quarter, we actually clamped up on defense, and our scoring continued to go the way of the Toronto Raptors. In the second game, it was much better. Our defense looked a lot more in control, and I would say the second game was that was the game I was more proud of to watch, because it seemed that every time Atlanta tried responding with their own run, we would be able to shut that down, and then we would go back up double digits. So ended up making a last-ditch effort in the fourth quarter. They cut it to about 6 points, and the Raptors were able to respond, and they ended up winning the game by 18 points. Both games were total team efforts. The first one was just the matter of everybody being able to score the ball at will. So I guess I would say the player of the game for that was Brandon Ingram, because he literally could not miss from the mid-range. But in the second game, it would have to be Colin Murray-Boyles. That duo of him and Scottie Barnes is an insane net positive on the defensive and the offensive end. It's kind of similar to when Scottie was able to make those inside passes to Thaddy, obviously on a much larger scale, a much better scale, because Colin Murray-Boyles is 10 times the player that Trae Young was. In the second game, we were able to see 7 of our players reach double-digit points, not a single one of them going over 20, which I guess goes towards our philosophy of everybody eats. And it wasn't even like people were inefficient. Brandon Ingram, Scottie Barnes, Colin Murray-Boyles all shot over 50% in this game. The Hawks didn't have Trae Young in either of these games. First game, it didn't seem like they missed him very much because it was their defense that let them down. In this game, I'm sure they would have much rather had someone that could run their offense, someone that could score at will. This is a game where they missed Trae Young in, and it seemed like getting Porzingis back didn't really help. He has really looked like a shell of himself ever since this illness came to him. So, yeah, I think Atlanta, obviously, you saw the rumor coming out about Trae Young potentially being moved. I think Porzingis is another player that they might potentially look at to be moved. I don't think he fits their timeline very well, especially with Okongwu playing the way he's been playing. A lot of Raptors fans have been talking about Trae Young potentially coming to the Raptors. Now, here's my take on this. To make that deal happen, it would have to be probably Emmanuel Quickley, Grady Dick, and Ochai Agbaji. Player-wise, that's fine. Emmanuel Quickley hasn't been very good, hasn't been good defensively at all. Grady Dick has not. He's struggled this season, and Ochai Agbaji has been literally out of the rotation at times. Now, what would that look like for the Toronto Raptors? I think our offense would be one of the best in the entire East. Trae Young would be able to make up for those inefficiencies in running our offense from Emmanuel Quickley. His three-point shooting would replicate, and in fact be probably better than Emmanuel Quickley's, and his playmaking, running the offense, would just be so much better. I feel the offense would flow a lot more. Now, on the defensive end, Emmanuel Quickley is not the best defender whatsoever. Neither is Grady Dick, but one thing that they have that I've seen all season long is that they've actually been trying on that end. They've been showing a level of energy that at times I really haven't seen out of Trae Young. And that kind of worries me if we pick him up. Because I can excuse just a player not having good defense as a part of their game. Because when they're trying, that means at times that good defensive hustle shows up and we're able to get some stops. When a player isn't trying on the defensive end, something that I've seen out of Trae Young multiple times, that's something that is inexcusable. Now, what people hope is that Colin Murray-Boyles, Scottie Barnes, and now Brandon Ingram, who's been a great defender as of late, they're hoping that our good defensive players will be able to cover up Trae Young's poor defense. But one thing that concerns me is that the Atlanta Hawks have had some plus defenders in the past, and that has never covered up Trae Young's poor offense. In fact, they were 2-8 with Trae Young in the lineup. They were much worse when he was playing. So you take it with a grain of salt because it is a smaller sample size, and who knows, maybe they're playing better teams in that stretch. But it is a big concern when you consider how much draft capital they'd be asking for. I will say though, to play devil's advocate, the Toronto Raptors are a team known to buy low on players, and it seems like Trae Young's value is as low as it has ever been. I've seen reports of them potentially having to include a first round pick to get off that contract. So it is insane to me. I do think that Trae Young still has a lot of value. I do think he could elevate a team's offense. And if a team's already got a good defensive lineup, a lot of great defenders on the team, I think this would be a great move for a team looking for a point guard. Like a team like I don't know how the contracts will work, but I think a team like the Houston Rockets could really benefit from this. They already have a bunch of plus defenders. I think they could really easily hide Trae Young on that end. And yeah, I think that would be a great move for the Houston Rockets, maybe the Minnesota Timberwolves. It looks like he's going to the Washington Wizards, but yeah, hopefully a trade could happen because I've been waiting for way too long for a trade to happen. Next up, the Toronto Raptors play the red-hot Charlotte Hornets, who are coming off a 27-point win against the Oklahoma City Thunder. The biggest key is which Hornets team will you get? Are we going to get the Hornets team that lost to the Milwaukee Bucks, or are we going to get the Hornets team that beat the OKC Thunder? It seems like they are one of the most inconsistent teams in the league. Starting off, this is a team that scores the ball at an elite level. They scored like 120 plus points numerous times in the past like 5 games, and they've done it so many times over this season. So we know when they're on, when LaMelo Ball's scoring the ball, when Kneppel's shooting the way he is, they're able to put up points. Now you have to match that offensive output, otherwise you could be put in a hole really quickly. In the last game, we really struggled with jumping out and contesting their shooters, and offensively the process looked really bad. The ball wasn't moving at all. No one was able to score. So I don't see us having a similar game to the last game because the last game was terrible. But at the same time, we cannot just fully rely on our three-point shooting and our talent to win this game. I think that we need to lock it on the defensive end, make sure that players like Kneppel don't get going early, and we should be able to win this game. They're still 13-23. This should be an easy win. We cannot overlook them because they literally are winning the season series right now. So we got to go in there, into their crib, and take the dub. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully next episode, I'll have my camera on. I think everything's back to normal now. I will be recording all the Raptors rundowns from now on. Shout out to Najee for filling in. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you in the next episode of the Raptors Rundown.